whenever there is a conceptual error that happens in human perspective, perception and action, both the allied community as well as the prospectively to be victimized community, they observe negligence and silence. And the same problem becomes too much exorbitant in the society beyond the possibilities of control and manageability, then only person gets a small tip of awareness. So every problem in the society, according to social philosophy, is nothing but the contribution of silence, negligence and subservience of the allied community that you should take as a universal solution mechanism which is essential for any problem at any corner with any dimension of the social crime. Here also, according to Shastra, they have given two major rules of practicing the life in the society. One is by their spiritual presence and essence, and second is by the labor or work. These two forces are essential for the global existence, sustenance and prosperity. That's why we used to say in Sanskrit, those who are doing labor, they belong to Krishi Parampara, and those who are with their spiritual quintessence, they belong to Rishi Parampara. So these Krishi or labor, whenever there is a revolution, a socio-technical evolution that resists the society, that assists the society, we see innumerable types of labors that are being very much prominized in the all social corners. We see intellectual labor, we see psycho-intellectual labor with presence of mind, application of mind. We see mere technical labor and techno-intellectual labor like innovation. So we see innumerable types of labors. And it is a primitive form of labor to maintain the physical labor in the world, because man used animals and men, fellow men, for achieving or accomplishing various tasks of his progress, existence and perversion or expansion. Then gradually he found out mechanization, where machines, they came for rescue. Then semi-mechanical, then automation, robotics, now artificial intelligence, which can even substitute human presence. And a collective contribution of a human battalion or panel can be very comfortably instituted by a small AI or artificial intelligence mechanism. Like that distant operations, remote sensing and remote viewing, remote operations, satellite control, like that everything is happening. So it is an era of mechanical substitution or technical substitution of hardcore physical labor. So there is a very great crisis in the society, labor crisis. They conducted a seminar addressed about two types of labor crisis. One is incompetency crisis and second is shortage crisis. What is shortage crisis? Whenever the era is super mechanized, when that particular area is not accommodable or compatible with that of the era, then certainly there will be labor intensive or high core labor intensive provocation is very much solicited. It creates labor shortage. Where technical reach has not been facilitated much, there we get into a lot of problems. That is known as labor shortage, because there lot of opportunities are there, but there is no proper labor supply. In most of the areas, in countries like India, all these people, they went for bank operations, like for credit card and money collections and irreturnable money collections and threatening and various other substandard activities. Most of the people are recruited. Merely 8th standard, 10th standard past people, they are recruited for such activities. So people are not available for agriculture and basic industries like foundries. So one area where there is technology, and technology has facilitated lot of people, absorbed lot of people for employment, so that it has not facilitated proper labor supply for them. And second area where technically it has reached, and it has developed that community, the people, they have not updated and upgraded their performance, labor performance to the technical expectation or intellectual expectations of the around society. So that has resulted in incompetency crisis. So one type of crisis, labor crisis, is where we have work but there are no proper labors. That also we are facing in India. Most of the areas, they suffer because of lack of labor. Second area, there are lot of labors, but the labors are, as already mentioned, they are semi-skilled, unskilled, skilled, but simply skilled. All these people, they cannot be immediately absorbed into a fast-growing, techno-dependent society due to which they suffer with incompetency crisis. So whenever you take labor problem or labor crisis as a holistic view, you have to take care about the shortage issue as well as the incompetency crisis. We have to take. And whenever you are developing these things in the society, certainly we are affected by the collective psychoanalytical impact of every person or every group and natural behavior of people on the other community and society. It is known as common human behavioral error, we used to call in philosophy and psychology. It is very much unavoidable. Unless you understand that mission, unless you understand particular instinctive drive, it is very difficult to interpret and resolve these issues. Number one, whenever a person is getting into richness, there are two things. One is richness and poverty. One person asked me a question, how can you abolish poverty? Do you say that everybody should be rich? There should be only two divisions. The bifurcation should be sufficient and abundant. Person with his own inimitable skills and his own dexterity or his own acumen, the person can get into development in form of abundance. That does not mean that other people should be poorer and poorer. There should be sufficient as well as efficient and abundant people. That should be the real nomenclature or bifurcated nomenclature of the society. That should be that. You should understand, whenever poor people they become rich, they merge into the rich behavioral synthesis, and they don't treat that they were Esther poor people and they don't bother about the poverty also. You should understand that. They don't concern about anything known as poor or poverty. So we should understand, whenever a person gets into power, authority or wealth of any form, naturally the person is interested in squeezing the maximum potential output of others, giving them the minimum labor or giving them the minimum opportunities. Whatever I am providing somebody should be the bare minimum. Whatever I am extracting from other people should be maximum. This is the mentality, normal mental inclination of all of these people. So we should understand how far we can prevent this by means of education, by means of reforms, by means of retributive and contributive justice, by means of raising international consensus, by media vigilance. So innumerable methodologies are there. We cannot say that education is the only tool. Hundreds of tools are there. We are taking our own knowledge dissemination and awareness campaigning. HRD is taking its one way. So here, this richness poverty issue that has resulted in the cleavage of the society, creating in all of these labor exploitation programs, how labor exploitation is being created. Laborers are being exploited only because of three reasons. One, they cannot raise their voices because already they are preoccupied by hunger, the deficiency, paucity and various other ills and evils. So they cannot raise their voices. Second, there is no possibility for them to be integrated. There is no possibility for integral protest. Third thing, there is a social negligence. Nobody will raise voice against them. So these are all the reasons which have manured or supernourished the people's exploitation principles. So we should understand how far we can create this thing. There are two cleavages in this also, in labor also. One area where laborers are unintegrated, where these people cannot raise their voices and see that they can bring justice, collective bargaining, where it is not possible. Second area, where collective unethical bargaining is there by means of industrial lobbying. There is something known as labor lobby. We should not always have unilateral thinking and unilateral way of alignment of issues. There is something known as industrial lobbying. It is very much effective in India, where there is a reciprocal demand. All these laborers united together, they demand more from their employers and see that they can reciprocate all the ills and evils created by employers to employees in other areas. So that is also there. So we should consider this as a human behavioral error which cannot be brought immediately into enlightenment by education or knowledge awareness or other things, which can be brought immediately by international consensus, judicial reforms and immediate enforcement of all the available laws and rules. Already a lot of things are there. They have enlisted a lot of things are there. How far they have been effective? In order to implement new rules, we have to think how far the already existing enacted rules have been implemented, enforced effectively, infallibly, how far they have been implemented in the society. That we should understand. So let us think in this congregation, let us think about our responsibility, because we should understand, whenever you are paying labor, somebody asked me a question, he was an employer. See, he is working, I am giving him salary, that is my duty. How I can bother about the person's physical, mental, environmental and all other conditions? Then I told that it is not just. There is something known as economic justice. Any person doing intellectual labor, any person doing investment and any person working for implementation, they should have reasonable bargain. Even though they cannot see, persons who are working physical labor, they may be many in number, in hundreds of thousands. Those who are invested may be one or two or many are a small group of people. But they should have, it is not equal share, but reasonable share should be given. It is known as economic justice. That's what I told in the seminar. According to principles, according to conscience. If conscience does not work, the only mechanism available to repair is immediate punishment. Immediate punishment or proper training, these are the immediately available things. If conscience does not work, then certainly there should be some collateral mechanism. That is nothing but justice, retributive justice, which should be provoked by means of activated or fueled by means of raising of voices of innumerable people. At least there should be effective voice raising by qualitative people, otherwise it should be a mass protest or agitation. Only these two things are the fear causing devices for the whole society. Otherwise the power blocks are not afraid of anything at all, because they can seek silence, support and purchase any party in the world. Only thing they cannot purchase is conscience, so we have to raise up these things.
What I hinted in the seminar in my epilogue is, you are paying salary because that salary is your liability. You are paying salary because that is your liability. You have to take care of the environment and environment impact on his health conditions because that is your additional responsibility. You have to treat them with dignity because that is your humanity. You have to seek all possible measures to see that the person's future is developed. The person's next generation is not put under torture and turmoil. They are placed under a better era, better area. They are given proper knowledge so that the physical labor is totally abolished. Before 4 decades, you know that all the municipal corporations, they were working only with human labor. Only working with human labor for so many obnoxious things which human beings cannot touch and see at all. Now it has been replaced by mechanization, collective work, some mechanical works like that. There should be an era where at least a minimum skill is required and a person is treated with utmost dignity. Everything else is compensated or compromised by mechanical influence or technical influence. So I told that this is your liability to give salary, it is your liability as well as responsibility to take care of his health, it is your humanity that you should treat him with dignity, it is your munificence or magnanimity or divinity to see that their generations are flourishing so that your generations will flourish. See, when you are growing in a techno-dependent era, if everybody is kept, there was a story where one village head will not allow anybody to go to school. Only for the reason that they should take care of his cattle herd and for his agriculture and other things. When the techno-dependent society flourishes in few decades, there won't be any person available for the person to work. Developing others in a cosmopolitan society is nothing but developing you and your generations. You are not seeing the impact of their development on your existence and development that we should see. Philosophy or religiousness is not something saying about God or liberation. It is seeing the inbuilt development of you, your generations and transmigrated forms in the development, in the collective development impact of your surrounding society. That we should envision. And coming to this issue, they have presented only one area. Recently, there was a book known as Expat Drive. It was released by Muhammad Shahuddin. He released at Hyderabad. It was released by Muhammad Ali Shabir, who was the ex-minister for these NRA affairs, Andhra Pradesh. They released a book. It was telling about the one-side story in which they have mentioned a few of the key points which have been mentioned now, but with more analysis. But analysis is there, representation of facts is there, but there is no solution. There is no immediate action what we have to do, that is yet to be built, that we have to build. So we should understand here, from these major points given, today let us arrive at least 1 or 2 areas where we can kindle the spark of our conscience or the global conscience, where we hope and pray that something good will happen soon due to our prayer and due to our integrated operations by all possible means. Number 1, what he has told is, don't include Gulf NRIs as NRIs. All the Gulf residents, those who have been migrated from here, they should be separately designated as contract workers. Because direct tax code, DTC, which is yet to be applied on these people, that is also an additional burden. What they have mentioned is, include them as mere contract workers. Because those people, they have only 3 options. EDS we used to say. 1, come here empty-handed is E. D, lose your life as a depressed person. 3rd, the final end, commit suicide. EDS, these are the 3 options for these people. So don't think these contract workers as affluent NRIs. So don't insist them to pay any tax. So relieve these people from the tax trap or the tax clutch or net. That is what they have mentioned. This is number 1. Moreover, what they are emphasizing is, there are a lot of loan sharks. It is known as temptational drive. I delivered a lecture about urban facilities in rural areas. All the people were against me in their concepts. Then I delivered a lecture, if the person is purchasing mobile phone, TV and various other gadgets, because of his enhanced ability to purchase, that is development. The person, because of the temptation drive, he purchases some other thing by selling their money, by totally dedicating the money which was meant for some good or some significant expenditure, he diverts the money and purchases the mobile phone. The person purchases the mobile phone for 3,000, 4,000 and struggles to pay the bill for 300 rupees. So is it development, is it rural development or urban facility? Urban facility should be brought into the rural area by enhancing the person's performance and ability to purchase and necessity. There is no necessity for the person to come and get, he is talking about something nuisance and nonsense and he is envisioning something else in the TV. So we should understand, whatever we see as development should be really evaluated whether it is a real-time development or not. That's what they say. Here also, loan is the very essential part of human survival and economic progress. Without getting loans, even God, there are stories that he has borrowed loan from a lot of people. So loan is unavoidable. But loan given from a person, a right person, for a right purpose, by a right person, by a conscient person, by an energetic and dynamic personality, the loan becomes 10 times powerful than the investment. loan and profit is not distinguishable for a person who is dynamic in nature. There are a lot of loan sharks, mediators between the Gulf countries and the Indian continent. What these people they are doing, they are having bilateral operations or bi-hemispheric operations both in India as well as in the Gulf countries. They give money to the relatives and the friends of the migrant workers there, 10,000 or 20,000, and levied with high interest they receive as foreign currency. So this expat drive, it has clearly mentioned the influence of loan sharks. How it is coming? Because money is available. To get the same money, they have to struggle for months together. It is immediately available as a cluster of grapes. I can get it now. So that we should mention. Everybody going to Gulf should be trained with a safe loan availability program. Unless this is created, I am not going to say that it will be more effective in the society, because money is needed. And money is also, we know that discrimination of wages already they have mentioned. If money is not properly supplied and money is in heavy need, at that time there will be a lot of parasites to pester upon you to temptate your instinctive drive to absorb into the loans, whirlpools for more interest. There will be drowned. I cannot be retrieved at any cost at all. So loan sharks are there very much essentially. The point is should be noted, and how we can produce alternative loan facility, safer loan facilities by government or by any other representative bank, that we should divide. And we should divine and we should design and design certain organizations for that. Unless it is given, the people will be tempted to do that. I delivered a lecture on voluntary trafficking. What is voluntary trafficking? If somebody else abducts you, no doubt you can take a legal suit or you can file a case against me. If being tempted by desire, by craze, by means of avarice and other things, if you traffic yourself voluntarily, who is going to prevent you? It is known as voluntary trafficking. In loan, no rules can prevent, because those rules, they may not provide loans for the person. If somebody is giving some advice, immediately the person will ask, can you provide the loan so that I cannot go to that person for the same loan? So we should see how far these loan agencies, shark agencies can be considered to be a very great menace for these people. And second, recently, the soft corner of the Indian government, AICTE, it has announced 15% reservation. 15% reservation in the supernumerary seats for these so-called Gulf-based migrants, workers and their children. They have recently announced. The answer is, these people, they have given an appeal to the government that the same facility should be made available in all other organizations also. All other education organizations, they could give reservation on the basis of AICTE's proposal. The question is, if reservation, that's what I told in the seminar, if reservation is given to scheduled caste people, members like women, minority, all these people, if they just snatch away all these reservation, 10-15% etc., it will be a curse to be a normal person in future decades. So enhancement of opportunity should be there. We should understand. We are not against reservation. It is an immediate interim relief to all of these people, those who are marginalized. At the same time, what you have to do, not only reservation of seat, enhancement of learning opportunities, enhancement of professional and industrial opportunities, everything should be provided so that there will be not an inflammation but growth. Growth is multilateral. Growth is multilateral and complete in nature. And third point, what they have told here, they have mentioned about Indian Community Welfare Fund. It is the very best relief mechanism that has been introduced by the government. Recently, you know that just before few months, lot of people, because of this money problem, they have been put into prison. Only by the Consulate General utilized the money from the Indian Community Welfare Fund and released more than 90 to 100 prisoners from the prison. So innumerable such activities are being taken. They have been mentioning about also these recruiting agents who are cheating in nature. They are naturally cheating in nature. Already there is a fire and there is a dry stick and there is a fuel known as petrol, and it is surrounded by crackers or combustibles. Like that already the people are cheaters. Second thing, so okay, they have cheated. Let me go back. They were telling about deporting. Somebody wrote to me from Gulf, they wrote to me, if I am deported, I told that you will be deported as punishment. If I am deported, I will consider it as the best grace of God. Because if they come back to their family, that is okay. Confiscation of passports, that will make deporting impossible. And moreover, vulnerable to that, there is no press freedom and there is no labor union, as you have already mentioned. So what you have to do is, there should be an Indo-Gulf Recruitment Council organized by the governments, or that should be endorsed by the government. Or that NGOs like us, or NGOs connected to us, can create a recruitment council with proper counseling, etc. What is counseling? They should be properly trained with the rules and applications there. We are only seeing unilaterally about the prosperity of Gulf countries. We are not seeing about the implications there. What are the problems that are existing in those countries? and what are all the methods of communication, on how to license yourself, and what are all the helpline methods. She has rightly mentioned that nobody knows where is embassy and what is that. They know about what is only dinar. They don't know about how to behave and what are all the various other endangering factors that are there existing. So that should be a complete counseling sector. That should be a counseling manual that should be produced to all of these people before entering into all of this. Finally, I want to say 4 or 5 points and finish this issue. We have enlisted, see, whatever the problems that are happening to the people, statistical report and strategic analysis can be presented by any person, and we can see them in nets and journals also. There are a lot of such journals which are dealing with these issues. But what we have to do here is what the government is taking and how the government can be stimulated, how the government can be compelled to take more reports. Because recently they have taken a lot of things. Vailar Ravi recently gave an interview. Our government has entered with an MOU with a lot of countries, with Bahrain, UAE, Qatar, except she has mentioned Qatar. All these countries are available except Riyadh, that is Saudi Arabia. All the countries are penetrable with international constitutional justice. At least reasonable international consensus can penetrate into all areas except Saudi Arabia. That should be taken as a separate agenda. So here, all countries, they have put MOUs for what? Wages hike. Because recently you know that 90 people are deported because of riots. You know about the Kuwait attacks. Recently, a lot of people, they were reacting. Why they have been reacting? Because no proper payment, working conditions are very bad, they are not allowed to be deported also, so they created a very big havoc there. So they are now suspended and put into judicial trial. So he went there and discussed with the people for appointment of labor inspectors, which have been appointed before several decades in all countries. Now they are appointing labor inspectors and biannual meetings for labor welfare and other things. Every year, twice, that should be health inspection, working environment and other things should be inspected properly and reported biannually. And one more thing is, there won't be any sponsorship program because there is a mediator, not a sponsor, and he is a parasite who consumes the whole wealth of both the mediator as well as the beneficiary. All things are consumed only by those people. So there will be direct recruitment by the employer, and there won't be any other mediator at all, and there is no confiscating authority for any people, only custodian authorities are there. All these things are now written in the MOUs, and recently they have just written as an MOU, still it has to be enacted very much vibrantly by means of our integral support. Recently, you might have heard about Jay Johnson. Jay Johnson is having one website, he is having one research website which is known as Gulf Cooperation Circle HumanRights.org. He has been interviewed by Faith Freedom. Faith Freedom, it has interviewed him. He has given wonderful explanations. He has given wonderful observation. He is the one masculine spirit and nerve which has penetrated into the Gulf, directly photographed and videographed all atrocities and published them with his statistical report. He has given a wonderful thing. We are talking about Indian workers. What he is telling is, Indian workers are there, Kerala workers are there. Now about 2.5 million Kerala workers are there. Since 72, they have been going there. Since 1930, oil was invented and 50 oil was commercially extracted. These people are going there because of their historical tie-ups and religious affinity as Muslims. These people are going there, contributing more than $6.81 billion to the remittance. 15.13% of the whole remittance they are contributing, Kerala people. Apart from that, major Muslims are there. Hindus and Christians from India, they are there. And Philippines and Indonesia, Muslims and Christians are there. Apart from that, people from Egypt, people from Kenya, Ethiopia, Palestine, Pakistan, Bangladesh, Sri Lanka, all these people are there. We should understand, Indonesia, it has recently announced no migrant workers should go from Indonesia because of the ill treatment stories. Whatever she has been just putting as a statistical report, like thousands of people have been ill treated, physically abused, sexually abused, and employment totally confiscated, visa confiscated. All of these things are known to the people. That's what I told in one seminar. When the first thing happens, in the society, then the person should be blamed. When the same thing happens in tens and hundreds, no doubt you should blame the other person, victimizer, knowing that why you are going there. If thousands of people are being victimized for thousands of years or decades of years together, how far you can blame these people? So every person in the global level, they should be blamed for these things. Every person, we are responsible and we should be blamed for these happenings in the society. And Cambodia and Vietnam has been targeted by these people. Now, as Indonesia has prevented migrant workers from being transported from their country to Gulf countries, now all the Gulf countries, they are targeting on Cambodia and Vietnam. If you say HRDA, that I, if it means international, we have to co-support or co-organize a similar symposium in Cambodia and Vietnam also, because those people are the prospective victimizers of the Gulf migration. We should also take this into account. So, lot of things he has mentioned, and $1.5 billion worth they have constructed a very big Khalifa, big building, Burj Khalifa they have constructed. And these buildings are constructed by people working for 80 to 100 hours per week without any proper rest. 7,500 people they worked. In spite of working in Bahrain, there was a fire accident. Fire accident in the residence of these workers because there were no smoke detectors. Those people, those who have been victimized in the fire accident are those people who have constructed, those who have constructed the sophisticated structures with smoke detectors. They only constructed highly protected, safe buildings, and their buildings were without safety, which they have mentioned. And recently, more than 78 people without 6 months of wages, food and water, they have been just imprisoned. And by contacting the Zeda is a place 620 kilometers, there is a consulate. Recently, they have announced their pathetic condition and now it has been rescued. The people have been rescued from that imprisonment. So, lot of people are there. We know about their pathetic stories. We wish that there should be 3 things. 1, you create your inland opportunities and observe those people and create alternative opportunities for the people and other flourishing countries. There is only one way. Only thing is, final solution is, we need them and they need us. As we need them for our development and prosperity, because you know that most of the people in Gulf countries, the women, they don't know how to cook. Gulf women, they don't know how to cook. And Gulf men, they cannot just bend their back to take some water and drink. So they need us and we also need them. But we should understand, whenever we take into consideration their need for us, our indispensability should not be projected. Their need for us should be projected and with utmost dignity, which is called DSP. Dignity, security and patriotic prosperity should be there. Our country should seek alternative opportunities in our own country to accommodate those people, because we also need such skillful labours. They are not burdensome labours as there are lot of migrants in other countries. Burdensome and malicious infiltration is there in several countries with migrant workers. All the Gulf workers, they have contributed sufficiently or enormously for the development, infrastructure development and prosperity for the Gulf countries. So they should be treated well. There are 2 opportunities. 1, limit migration and see that we can maximize it. That should be, see, if problem is happening in one area and the rescue mechanism is somewhere else, how it will work? There should be one ILO office or joint operation office of Indo-Gulf Labour Security Force should be there at the same area, and embassy is having hundreds of works. Embassy cannot penetrate. It is more political. It is more political and economical rather than social. That should be a socio-centric, labor-centric mechanism implemented there or established there, number 1. Number 2, lot of inland opportunities with dignity and prosperity and security. How we can observe these people and prepare ourselves, that we should take care. Third thing, if Gulf is not there, let us take alternative opportunities for survival and development in other flourishing countries where we can have dignity as well as our prosperity. So it is a big journey and we have initiated a small walk today. I wish, pray and bless for the welfare of all of these people to have a never extinguishing and ever distinguishable conscience that you have provoked today, that should remain ever resplendent in your mind, so that you can continuously or incessantly raise your voices against any human violation in any part of the country. Let us pray for a fraction of a second for the welfare of the prospective victims and for the peaceful settlement of the Esther victims of the Gulf crisis. Narayan, Narayan, Narayan.